Hello and welcome back to the channel, guys. It's Erad, and so today we are going to talk about the best lines of the monthly report for Star Citizen in July. Now, of course, we'll also have our giveaway results for the month as well, so stay tuned until the end of that video. So first, as always, we're going to start with artificial intelligence. Now, of course, it is artificial intelligence internally, right? That's not exactly how it's going to be in the game, but nevertheless, it still gives us a good indication as of what the devs are working on. And they're working on zero-G transitions to an area which has Gs. And of course, this may seem simple given how our characters are, well, maybe not retransitioning very well, right? But actually, it's quite difficult for the developers to put in place, and they're working hard on doing that. Also, the teams at Cloud Imperial Games are still working on simple fauna here, which is going to be in 2D, made of rodents that we should be able to see in the various meshes of the game. And the goal here is to make sure that these rodents do not get out of the navigation zone, so that then they can also create satisfactory animations, whether they are moving or when they are not moving. Next, we'll talk about animations here, and we should see better rendering for the visualizations of reloading as well as takedowns with your fist, right? Melee takedowns. New animations have also been made when people are just standing still with a knife, or when their weapons are being equipped. New animations have also been made for the purpose of the persistent universe. Those are going to be used with new lines of dialogues that will be made for combatants in-game as well as pilots, so perhaps we'll have more diversity when it comes of what we'll be hearing from those NPCs. We'll also talk about quickly here the gangs of the Paro system. It seems that the developers are still working on the outfits of some of the gangs that will be there. Also, it seems that we are going to have new outfits for Christmas as well as the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. Next, we have a long section about ships and vehicles. That's something that we always have in those monthly reports, and we start with the Polaris here, which apparently had a very first shot at its white box phase here, and that's complete. This is the first shot here. They're still going to be working on white box phase. Of course, the goal here is to try to fix some issues, some theoretic issues linked to the concept phase here, which apparently have been resolved. Work still continues on the vessels that have not been announced yet. One of them has had some progress here, including its dashboard and its cockpit. We're also going to have new variants. That's not really a surprise. We've seen the word about those variants in those monthly reports for quite some time, but it seems that according to some rumors that we can easily find on the internet, it seems that those variants are going to be variants of the cutter from Direct Interplanetary. Of course, you should take all of that with a pinch of salt, but it seems like we're going to have a Drake Cutter Scout and a Drake Cutter Expedition. Of course, we're probably going to have to wait for CitizenCon or perhaps the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo to have more details. It seems, though, according to the monthly report, that those variants are now in the level of details phase, which means that perhaps we could even see them even earlier, maybe in September. That is, of course, pure speculation. But let me know in the comment section down below when you think we're going to be seeing those variants for perhaps the Cutter. Speaking of ships that are almost finished here, the A1 Spirit from Crusader is also in level of detail phase, as well as the C1 variant, which is the cargo variant. However, we are not going to be seeing the C1 because the cargo hull inside is still in gray box phase. The Storm from Tumbril is also almost done here, but it seems that the threads were the problem for the Storm. That's something that has been fixed. Also, it seems that as work on the Storm was being finished, a new ground vehicle was starting to take shape. The concept phase is finished, and the teams now are trying to transpose those concepts into white box phases. Following the white box phase here, they are going to decide which variants of that new ground vehicle will be worked on first. Now we're going to talk about the Sentokai here, which is also in level of details finish here. and it seems that new materials have been put on its hull to give it its signature exotic looks. The developers are also trying to find a solution here for its dashboard, which was the reason why a couple of weeks ago we were told about the delay of the ship in an episode of Inside Star Citizen. The work is still not done though, and the developers are still working on triggers which will make sure that the ship behaves the way it's supposed to be behaving based on the situation in which it is. Next, let's talk about the X1, the space motorbike from Origin, which is now also in grey box phase. Developers here are trying to find a solution to give it a proper experience that is worthy of an Origin ship. So there we have it, quite a long section about ships and vehicles, but of course there are other sections to talk about here, and we will talk about sound also, the way that sound, especially vibrations and impact, are being implemented into ships has been done here, and this work was make sure that it's also going to be integrated for future ships that will be released in the future. Next, we'll talk about game features, and especially one feature that in particular seems to be quite controversial here within the community. Personally, I don't have anything against it, but I understand the frustration that some players have about it. And this feature here are player skills. And these skills are going to give us, for example, strength or dexterity. This will allow us to be faster when we are carrying heavy objects or armor, but not just. It also seems that it's going to be very useful for example, melee eliminations or takedowns, and new animations may even be unlocked based on how you master this way to fight. A new mechanism of sliding here is also being prepared. For example, when you will be running, then you'll be able to crouch, but this will not be done instantaneously here. Instead, this will go through a sliding animation, which then will allow us to transition between a standing position to a crouchy position with a little bit of style at the same time. Other features are also making progress here, like munching, which we saw last week in Inside Star Citizen, as well as mining, including improvements when it comes to stability and predictability. In the future, we should also have new types of mission, and as well as new gameplay phases. For example, QA has made sure in the most destruction wave possible that trespassing should be ready and implemented in the game. Unfortunately, as we know, it's not the case, so we're going to have to wait a little longer to experience that in the PU. But missions for object retrieval are also being polished here, as well as other types of mission, including a dynamic event, which is called Blockade Runner here, which is being prepared, and this dynamic event should be replacing the Ninetales lockdown, which should then use the new mechanisms when it comes to mass freight, which will be introduced with the Hull C. This dynamic event has been reviewed by the directors and approved. Speaking of freight transport missions here, these are also finished, and all the gameplay functionalities now that are annexed to these type of missions have been identified. Now, sure, it's going to take a little bit of time here to combine all of them to then be able to offer the a proper gameplay experience, but when it comes to that, well, we can be sure that eventually it will come, right? But it's gonna take a while. Maybe it will be delayed. I guess we'll see. As far as this monthly report is being released here, developers are still trying to figure out a way to make these new missions have an impact on reputation, as well as how it's going to have a progress on their career. Is there going to be more missions, more payouts, more difficulties? Time will tell. Also, steal and recover missions have been prototyped and shown to the game directors. Games will have to get some containers in ships that have been neutralized, or they will have to neutralize ships and take their cargo. Also, code regarding reputation has been started here. In the future, our actions will have an impact on reputation, and that will allow us to benefit from discounts, whether, for example, if our reputation is positive, but if our reputation is negative, maybe we'll have some ambushes and we'll be attacked by NPCs. Next, we'll talk about future gameplay locations here, and it seems like in the Paro system, the derelict outpost, or at least abandoned outposts, are being polished. The team at Montreal here has made a little pause here on building interiors and is helping on abandoned derelicts as well in the PU that we should be having in the future, at least new ones, right? We'll finish here with new features that gamers are really eager to wait here, and these are FPS maps that we'll be able to see when we are, for example, in a building or in a ship, and the work here has just started, and we should be able to hear about it in the next month. So there we have it, guys. These are the best lines of the monthly report for the month of July, but let me know in the comment section down below, when do you think we're gonna see those FPS maps at CitizenCon perhaps? What about the Blockade Runner dynamic event? I think that we're gonna also have to wait a little bit of a few weeks here to get to know more. Guys, this month I will exceptionally not have a giveaway on the channel as I am on vacation for a month, but I will share with you guys my trip as soon as I fully recover from the flu. However, we had a giveaway last month, and congratulations to Dr. Wasteland for winning an RSI Scorpius Antares sponsored by Predator Mount. Dr. Wasteland, who is a Patreon member and who entered his name in the Discord channel. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Shout out to Dr. Robin, Wolf Crusher, and Deplorable Fidel. I've been Iran. I'll see you guys later.